Please remember to take all luggage and personal belongings with you. I'd like to thank you for travelling with Megabus this morning. So I hope you've had an enjoyable journey and that you will travel Megabus in the near future. Birmingham Hill Street, the next calling point. Thank you. Southampton and finally Portsmouth. Seatbelts must be worn while the coach is in motion. The coach is totally non-smoking, this includes e-cigarettes, and the consumption of hot food and alcohol is definitely not permitted anywhere on the vehicle.
Okay.
Will be, and also I don't know the English word. Anak buah kapal. What is the English word for that? The seamen. I think that's also an area that we need to. I think have more trainings, more say vocational training, so that Indonesians will have a better skill in there. Because for now, even now, many Indonesians actually work in many shipping companies around the world. So these are the at least examples of areas where I think the government would like to focus more for future migrant workers in Indonesia. Pak Faisal, I will give you one interesting topic, so you can change your topic. So it's more like the exam questions. I think something like this: is Indonesia becoming foreign policy irrelevant? So I think that's another way of asking, in assertive or inward looking. So you can use that. So is Indonesia becoming foreign policy irrelevant? Discuss.
His foreign policy. And related to that, one of the critiques that Andy placed towards you was Jokowi doesn't have a globally charismatic leadership. He's not internationally recognised as an attractive figure around the world. But my question is, does he need to be? To pursue the norms that he wants to be, does he need to be? As a small or growing or middle power, what kinds of norms can he pursue? How can he pursue them? And does he need to be charismatic to do that?
So my name is Asim. I'm from the University of Oxford, and I'm also IR guy. So the question I have actually relates to TPP broadly, but I want to explore geopolitical aspect of it. So, for example, there's a lot of tension in South China Sea at the moment. So, in any hypothetical conflict between the US and China, how will Indonesia position? So, will it be able to remain neutral? Yeah, that's my question for Rizal.
Later, Dr. Rizal will add, I think. What I know that the intention, the objective of the free visa is to increase the tourism to Indonesia. And you're right, of course, free visa is not the only factor, but it will help to increase the tourism to go to Indonesia. And the target for the tourism, President Jokowi already increased from the current level is around 10 million people for a year, and increase to become maybe 25 million a year. So this is the objective of the free visa. And regarding the Indonesia and UK relationship, the question from Mr. Danan, export imports for Indonesia and UK in the recent years is declining because UK also very strong in the services and not so many in the goods. And also Indonesia is now shifting to China, for example, now become our main trading partner. So the relationship, the trade between Indonesia and UK actually on the trend of declining. But of course, with the opening direct flight between Jakarta and London, I think this is also give some opportunity to in the future will be increased again. I think that's all.
I think currently, I would say, $2.6. That's the new target. So there is actually from both sides, in order to intensify trade and strengthen trade relation between the two countries. And second, I think UK has the largest number of tourists coming to Indonesia, in Europe. Not Netherlands, is United Kingdom. 256,000 last year, 60 already. Somebody track the numbers. And I think there is a steady growth, around like 5 or 7%, I think, every year, in terms of number of British people actually going Indonesia. And then the Ministry of any difficult decisions in Indonesia, for example, could not be made, but was made by Jokowi. There are a lot of examples of that. I've seen his discussions with other leaders. So I think we can't expect Jokowi to give you like 1 hour speech. Probably the first speech is interesting, second speech nice, third speech will become boring definitely. So he's not the type who like to talk. Because for him well, you can't go more than 3 points. So that's very difficult for the Prime Ministry officials, but you have to write, his speech. Especially, many leaders when they need to address the UN, right? They want to speak like 2 hours. But Jokowi is 7 minutes max. So that's, I think the policies that you can't actually force him, to be someone else, and that there is no intentions, also to change to be a foreign policy president in the way many other presidents, would like to be. Remember Pak Harto, right? It took him 20 years. Well, Pak Jokowi doesn't have 20 years, don't worry. It took him 20 years, to actually pay more personal attentions, to foreign policy at the time. It was in 1985, after the domestic basis of foreign policy were actually firmly in place. Remember, when we achieved the self-sufficiency in rice, when our economic growth actually registered 7%, almost on annual basis, then he began to pay more attention beyond Southeast Asia. But ASEAN is definitely there. Even for I think for Pak Jokowi, ASEAN is really there. And in fact, Indonesia now is also taking a number of initiatives in order to address those issues that Adam talked about before, the inefficiency, and so on. Finally, the most difficult one, the elephant in the room in Southeast Asia. How do we position ourselves within the growing rivalry between the US and China with regard to the South China Sea? Indonesia doesn't like Pax Americana. We also don't like Pax Sinica. So of course we love Pax Indonesiana, but it's difficult. So we stick to Pax ASEANA. Because it would be foolish, for ASEAN member states to choose between the US or China, especially in the growing rivalry between the two in the South China Sea. Indonesia and Pak Jokowi has made it very clear that Indonesia is not party to the conflict, but we do have legitimate interest in the peace and stability in the South China Sea. Therefore, we are more than happy and willing to play this role as an honest broker. But for those who study diplomacy, it's very difficult also to go public on what are the things that we'll be doing in order to find solutions or manage the dispute in the South China Sea. But I can share with you this much. First, there is an ongoing discussion between ASEAN and China, and Indonesia plays a very, I think, important role in that in order to come up with a framework for code of conduct in the South China Sea. I don't believe that we can resolve the problem, because it takes probably 30, 40, 60 years to solve the sovereignty issue. We can manage it, and then the only viable options available is the code of conduct between China and ASEAN. So what do we mean by this code of conduct? Number one, China and ASEAN needs to have an agenda for cooperations at sea. Not on the security or defense area, but more like why don't we start counting how many fish still left, still there in the South China Sea? Because everybody goes down to get the fish, and then the
We would like to ask Hilmi and Professor Jan Pomorski to take a photo session in the middle for everyone.
Student and researchers for all of the UK and almost 400 students from all of the UK. It was an interesting discussion, but I won't be taking more time. At this moment, we are going to launch Rekam Riset Anak Bangsa. So it will be premier platform for us, for academic journal, opinion, articles to share our ideas, expertise, and experience. Hopefully, it can inform everyone, not only individuals but also governmental levels, and perhaps international community to know about any aspect of Indonesia. Please come, my two friends from Rekam Riset Anak Bangsa Division, Hada and Mas Tono.